That's good. So we had an incredible day on the sea bass grounds out in Buzzards Bay. We successfully put the sea biscuits in the basket, and now we're here with Andy Nabreski, columnist for On the Water of Living Off the Land and Sea, and he's going to chef up an amazing meal.
That's right, and yeah, I used to rattle my ego eating another man's fish, but now I've kind of grown to like it. So you don't have to get to bed early and don't have to fillet them. So yeah, today I'm going to be making a traditional Portuguese dish called cebolada. I first heard about this from On the Water contributing writer Charley Soares. Charley grew up in New Bedford, which is an area rich in Portuguese heritage. And he was telling me a story about this dish that he used to eat as a kid. He said you could smell it 3 blocks away, and it was called cebolada. And he said they used to make it with mackerel. And I got to thinking, if this can make mackerel taste good, you know, I bet it'd be really good with something like sea bass. So I didn't know how to spell it, so I called Charley back. I'm like, Charley, I need to figure out what this recipe is. And about a week later, he got back to me with the correct spelling, which is C-O-B. The correct spelling is C-E-B-O-L-A-D-A. I was trying to spell it with an S, so nothing came up. And I found the recipe. There's not a lot of recipes for it out there. And this is kind of my take on a traditional Portuguese classic dish. All right, we're going to start off with a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Turn that up, let that get nice and hot. Once our oil is hot, we are going to add in some fresh bay leaves. Let those kind of simmer for a minute or two. Now we're going to add about 3 cups of chopped white onion. And the onions are kind of really the star of this dish. They're going to really cook these down. They're going to add a little bit of sweetness to it. We're going to want to get these until they're brown. We're going to saute these for about 7 or 8 minutes. Hit these guys with a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, our onions have been sauteing for about 8 minutes now. You can see they're getting translucent. They're also just starting to get a little bit browned on the edge. And that's exactly what we want. We're going to add in 3 cloves of minced garlic. We're going to add about half of a small can of tomato paste. Give that a good stir. We're going to cook this for about another 2 or 3 minutes, just until the garlic starts to soften. Now we're going to do about a 1/4 cup of red wine to deglaze the pan. Now we're going to do a good spoonful. This is Portuguese crushed red pepper sauce. It's got a lot of heat to it, so about a spoonful. We can always add more later if needed. We're going to do about a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. I'm going to add 1 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. Now we're going to do about a half a tablespoon of smoked paprika. Turn this all the way to low, and we're going to want to let this simmer for about 15 minutes or so. And we're going to add in some diced chorizo. This is a hot Portuguese sausage. And you don't need a lot of that in there, but it's really going to give it a nice flavor. Give that a little stir, and we'll let this go about another 10 minutes or so. All right, our sauce has been simmering down for about a half an hour now. It's ready to go. We're just going to add in 1 pat of butter, and that's really going to help richen that up. Throw that in there, turn the heat off, cover it. Now we're just going to do a little dusting of salt and pepper on these lovely black sea bass fillets. I like to serve this in these individual ceramic bacon dishes. We're just going to spoon a little bit of that lovely sauce in the bottom. So now we're going to take our sea bass fillets. We're just going to tuck the thin tail section underneath, and that's going to make it nice and even in thickness, so it cooks evenly. Put those on top of the betta sauce. Now we'll just put a little bit more of that cebolada sauce right on top. Don't want to cover them all the way, still want to have some fish showing through a little bit, like that. Now we're going to fire these guys into a preheated 375-degree oven. You just want to make sure that the rack is up towards the top of the oven. And we're gonna let those guys ride for about 10 minutes. Normally I'd garnish this with parsley. I don't have any parsley, so I do have some beautiful fresh basil and sage. So we're gonna go ahead and dice that up. All right, so these have been baking for about 10 minutes. They're looking like the fish is definitely done. We're just gonna finish these under the broiler. And we'll broil them for about 2 to 3 minutes just to get a little bit of color and a little bit of char on top. All right, those are looking beautiful. Just getting a little bit of char on the tomatoes on top. You can see the fish is starting to flake, which means it's done. I'll just give these a little drizzle of olive oil on top. A little garnish of fresh basil. And there you have it, black sea bass cebolada. Make sure you get all the little goodies on there.
There's something wrong with your cebolada, Oblongata. That's good.
It is good. It's relatively light, pretty lean dish, good summertime meal. And the onions really add a lot of flavor and sweeten it up, which I really like about it.
Definitely going back for another helping.
It's good stuff.
Really good stuff, man. That's delicious. Keep an eye out for that recipe in the Living Off the Land and Sea column. Andy Nabreski on the water. Cheech on the water. Signing off. Time to chow down.
Thanks for the sea bass.
No problem.
Appreciate it.